Hey there, welcome. This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. It's the Monday edition. Let's go. So yesterday was Easter, and like good little Americans, you went out and you celebrated, probably had some good family time. But if you were on social media even halfway through the day, you saw it look kind of like the battle scene from Braveheart. I don't know what yours looks like. Mine looked like this. This is the audio representation of my social media feed, because there's a lot of people up there who seem to think this whole Trans Day of Visibility announcement from the White House was an intentional snub to Easter. Now, I think it may have been clumsy. I think it may have been ill-advised, but was it an intentional thumb to the nose of the Christian community of America? That might be going a little far in my book, but let's ask my first guest, Evan Sayet, satirist, also author and comedian. Evan Sayet, back on The James Show. Welcome back, Evan. Do you think Joe Biden's proclamation for Trans Day of Visibility was a snub to Easter?
Well, listen, I can't know for sure, but I'll play the odds and say the chances of it not being is 1 in 365.
Oh, I see what you did there, because that's the number of days in a year. Well, 300.
Indeed.
1 out of 366 this year.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
1 out of 366, which makes it even a longer shot that it was just an accident that they just happened to pick the holiest day in the Christian calendar.
So my question is, did they do it on purpose? I mean, were they negligent, or were they intentionally snubbing Easter?
Right, and of course it was intentional. It's not like they didn't have it in red on their calendar like every other calendar has Easter Day. When I laid out my unified field theory of leftism, or unified field theory of liberalism, there were several corollaries to my laws, and one of them is that every action on behalf of the evil, failed, and wrong is met with an equal and opposite action in order to undermine or denigrate that which is good, right, and successful. So it's important not only for them to promote transgenderism, but at the same time to belittle Christianity.
So what about the thought process that I saw floating around, that they do this intentionally just to get a reaction out of Christians to make us look silly?
Well, indeed, in the short run, in the long run, it's to replace Christianity. You know, when you believe that America was founded on an evil constitution, evil white slave owners who wrote this constitution only to protect their own property, their own interests, well, then, of course, you want to undermine that which you believe was created in the name of evil. And so everything that the political left does, everything is designed to undermine Western civilization. So clearly the idea that there is man and woman, so you promote the idea that there's not, and at the same time that there's a monotheistic loving God, you promote the idea that there isn't. So it's all, everything about the political left is designed to undermine Western civilization. And by the way, they don't even hide this fact. When the richest, most powerful, most influential people get together every year at Davos, they call their plan the Great Reset. Their intention is to reset humanity. So everything that humanity believes, everything that Western civilization has created, needs to be reset to the very beginning. So Judeo-Christianity needs to be wiped out. Male-female needs to be wiped out. The United States, if you look at our borders, why they are open, the United States needs to be wiped out. Everything is about returning humanity to the very beginning so that these people at Davos can recreate humanity in the image that they have in their heads.
How are our friends, relatives, co-workers, acquaintances who support this kind of stuff not see that?
Well, because they don't see anything. You know, the key to understanding, when I speak about the political left, there are, of course, those who know what they're doing, just like in any movement. But the vast majority of people don't really understand what the powers that be have in mind. And for the most part, thinking has been outlawed. People on the political left, anybody who votes Democrat today, simply rejects the notion of rational thought. because anything that they believe is going to be just a reflection of their personal bigotries. And therefore, the only way not to be a bigot is to never think at all. And so they don't really think about transgenderism. They don't think about the biology of it. They don't think about the chemistry of it. They don't think about the mechanics of it, what it takes to turn a young boy, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, into supposedly a young girl, the mutilation of the genitalia, the feeding them of untested puberty-blocking drugs that previously had only been given to prisoners for sex offenders, chronic sex offenders. Now they're giving it to 5-year-old children. It's not because the people who vote Democrats think about it. It's because thinking has been totally outlawed, and therefore they don't consider a child any different than an adult. They don't consider a boy any different than a girl. They don't consider America any different than any other country. It's simply a rejection of rational thought, because the opposite of indiscriminateness is the evil of having discriminated.
All right. And so in your new book, Magic Soup, Typing Monkeys, Horny Aliens from Outer Space, how is your battle with Amazon going? Are you doing better getting the comments and the reviews up there?
Since last we spoke, it has not gone up one number, even though I receive emails from people telling me that they have written reviews, sending me the reviews, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. And still, it's stuck at 15. Now, sales have been going up, which is, of course, a good thing, but it is certainly hurtful to my efforts. And look, this is what they do. If they can't beat you in debate, they silence you. And that is what we've seen, whether it was with Twitter, whether it was with Facebook, and certainly now with Amazon.
All right. So for those of you who missed the discussion last week, Evan has a new book out about the failed origins of atheism. And Amazon seems to be blocking a lot of positive reviews because they're not within the terms of service or something. So it all seems very suspect. But thank you very much for your time. Check him out online. Evan Sayet, Sayet. He's got a bunch of books out there, too. Thank you, Evan.
Of course, James. Thank you.
All right. So now you heard from me. You heard from Evan Sayet. Let me ask you. Did Biden intentionally snub Easter? Did he negligently snub Easter? Or did he not snub Easter? We'll go over the back and forth coming up next on The James Show. If you have any comments you'd like to throw in there, bring it on. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. 800-288-WBAP. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. How you doing? This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to the Monday edition of The James Show. I hope you had a good Easter weekend. Some people not too happy. The president paid a little bit more attention to Trans Visibility Day of Awareness on March 31st than he did on Easter. Now, what am I basing that on? Well, look, this isn't my criticism. I care so little about what my president thinks of Easter or trans people or whatever. But the contrast is fairly stark. Go Google it yourself. All you have to do is type in Biden Easter message and Biden Trans Day of Visibility message. You can go to whitehouse.gov, look at the official statements yourself, and you'll see that the statement on Easter, it's, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. The proclamation on Trans Day of Visibility is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs. Yeah, it's a lot longer. So that rubs some people the wrong way. Hey, man, what about Easter? I thought you're supposed to be, all Christian, or at least, I don't know, at least somewhat balanced. And the question is, well, did he really snub Easter? And if you think he snubbed Easter, did he do it on purpose, or did he just have this stuff in the calendar on auto and just post whenever? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Hanson in Sulphur Springs, you're on The James Show. What do you think, sir?
I think he did anything on purpose. I mean, I think he was just trying to be kind to people who have a little bit different views than we have. I was telling your screener that reviewed my call, my sister is gay. I disagree with the decision that she's made. I think that it's a decision. I think it's a lifestyle choice. I don't think that she was born that way. I was raised in the same house that she was, and our parents never tried to force us in any way to be one way or the other. We grew up the same way, and she just turned out a little bit different than I did, and I don't hold anything against her. I still love her because she's still my sister, and I don't think he was trying to snub Easter. I really don't.
Yeah, and I can kind of hear in your voice, you're thinking about Biden the man, and that's another complexity here, because did Biden really write 10 times more on his trans proclamation than he did his Easter proclamation, or did someone in his staff do that? Did Biden really have a bigger statement and control his schedule, or is he just the puppet and whoever's pulling his strings is now the bad guy? All right, let's just mesh that out. He's probably kind of like you, Hanson. I mean, whether he agrees or disagrees with your lifestyle, if you're not harming anybody, whoop-de-doo. And that's kind of where I'm leaning toward this was more of a thing of negligence than an intentional slight of Christians.
I agree. I do. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for calling. Good stuff. Let's go see if someone else thinks different. David in Dallas, what do you think?
I think it was totally intentional that he chose a day when Jesus is supposed to get all the glory to give some transgenders some glory.
What do you think? Well, what do you think about the pushback that Transgender Awareness Day is just always on March 31st? And what are they supposed to do? Move it?
It's only been around 4 years. They knew it would fall on Easter eventually. But I didn't let it go to waste. I let Joe Biden inspire me to get a Trump-endorsed God Bless the USA Bible. I ordered one as I heard the story.
Well, that's your way of fighting back, I suppose.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, David. I appreciate it. Let's go to Jack in Weatherford. What do you think?
Hey, this has been going on since 2009. It's just a coincidence that it fell on Easter. It was still celebrated at the White House along with the other stuff. So, it's a much ado about absolutely nothing. So,
is there any weight in the argument that he wrote 10 times much in the proclamation for the Trans Day as he did for Easter?
Absolutely not. I guarantee you he didn't write it at all. He had the writers write it. So, but I mean, celebrating Easter with the Easter egg hunt's been going on for years and years and years. It's just a coincidence they fell on the same day this year. That's all there is to it. There's no big conspiracy against Catholics or Christians or anything like that.
Well, hang on. Now, I'm gonna stop at the word conspiracy. There doesn't have to be a conspiracy for there just to be in general anti-Christian animus in the political left.
There's not. It's not. There is no anti-Christian animus. I said it's just
none.
Another whine right wing to cry about something. They think they got a gotcha. And it's not. It was just a coincidence that it fell on the same day. It'll probably happen again. I don't know if it is in my lifetime, but, get over it, man.
Good
it's
stuff.
It's a fact of life.
Fair enough. All right.
Dude.
Thank you very much. See, Jack in Weatherford disagrees with some of you. What do you think about that? He thinks you just can't wait to get upset about the last slight. And he says there is no general anti-Christian animus in the political left. That's interesting. 800-288-9227. Let's see. Let's do Pam in Weatherford. What do you think, Pam? You're on the James Show on 8:20 a.m. now on 93.3 FM WBAP.
Well, hello. Separate from all of that, on Dan Bongino today, he said that the instructions for the decorations at the egg roll were very specific, that there could be no religious symbols or anything religious at all when they were decorating the eggs. Now, that has nothing to do with any of the transgender situation. That is purely religious. And what do you think about that, James?
Well, what I think about that is there's definitely just generally speaking, an anti-Christian sentiment on the left, and there's no way I was going to get Jack to admit that or beat it out of him. I mean, but look at the situation we have right now, where you have the guy on one side selling Bibles, and you have the guy on the other side who, whether he's doing this or the puppet master's pulling the strings, are at every stop in the way where they can either choose a pro, anti, or indifferent to Christian fork in the road. They never choose the pro-Christian. I don't want to say never. They rarely choose the pro-Christian route. And the same people that want to have porn in elementary schools and middle schools for your kiddos without their parents knowing about it, In fact, denying the parents their access to that just passed in Vermont. That's coming up later in the show. They will stand up and shout loudly for the Bible to be banned from public schools. They're the ones who did that. So it's not that they're against banning books. No. They're against banning the Bible. Porn for your kids is okay. Bible, terrible. So, I mean, that's the context that this all happens in. So if this happened in a vacuum, I'd be like, this is kind of negligent, but not necessarily anti-Christian. For me, this is just sort of solidifying the pattern I think most of us have seen.
Absolutely. And there's only one reason that we celebrate Easter.
For the bunny that lays eggs?
No, because Christ was nailed on the cross and he arose 3 days later. So that's Easter.
Thank you very much. That is Pam in Weatherford. What do you think? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. It looks like maybe your president stepped in an ant pile this weekend, the way he handled Easter weekend. Look, in the eyes of some, people are just going to complain no matter what President Biden does, and it's a much ado about nothing. For others, this is an intentional snub of their religion for a fringe element that hasn't really done a whole lot for our country to begin with. And so where are you? Somewhere in the middle of that spectrum? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. This looks good. Let's talk to Jack in Springtown. You're on The James Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.
How you doing, James?
I'm great. What do you think, Jack?
I told your caller I was curious if I was even listening to WBAP with the people that are supporting that moron, because, yes, it was completely intentional. You had one guy that mentioned that they put it on the 31st, knowing good and well at some point it was going to fall on Easter. If they insist on giving the day, put it in a month that does never coincide with any of our traditional holidays, traditional or religious holidays.
So you think that was done on purpose? You think they started this? I think the first official one recognized by the White House is in 2010. I saw someone else say 2009, whatever. It's about 14, 15 years old. You think they said, we'll set it on this day now, but in 15 years, it'll overlap with Easter, and that'll show those Christians. Do you really think they had that much forethought?
Well, you consider the fact that what we're dealing with now has been going on for the past 75 years. Just progressing it just a little bit at a time, Right,
so, but listen, I know we hate each other and we think the other side's a big bag of idiots, but you're giving them too much credit. I don't think there was malice when they picked this date knowing it would one day overlap with Easter. I think the more reasonable explanation is just accident. They're just dumb. Like, they didn't think that far. They just stumbled into this. And now they probably think it's kind of funny and cute, but this wasn't some part of a 15-year master plan to snub Easter. They're not that smart. Stop giving them so much credit.
Well, they're smart enough to have Biden in there right now. So,
True enough. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you calling in. Brian in Duncanville, you're on The James Show, 8:20 a.m., now on 93.3 FM WBAP. What do you think, Brian?
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call. I absolutely think it was intentional. From the history of the politics with Democrats and Republicans, we've always said the Democrats play offense a lot better than Republicans. We're always defensive. We're always late to the party when it comes to things like this. And you spoke about the great reset that the liberals are trying to pull off. Well, that has to be done with the children. You know, you have to start brainwashing them at a very young age, and eventually it'll take hold. And in the Christian faith, what is the biggest story, children's story, that everybody knows about, that they teach in Sunday school for children, and that's about Noah's Ark. And they intentionally hijacked that story with the rainbow. So I believe they did this intentionally also.
Fair enough. I mean, but if they did this intentionally, that means back in 2010, they're like, let's set it on March 31st. So a decade and a half from now, it'll overlap with Easter. You really think that was intentional?
Well, I think it's close enough.
Okay.
Like the previous caller said.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you calling in, Brian. Let's go to Ron in Dallas. Hey, Ron, you're on The James Show on 8:20 a.m.
Thank you, Alan. How's your day going? It's a great day out.
It's fantastic. I actually like cloudy weather. I like it. I'm not saying I like the fact that some of our neighbors are in a tornado watch and we're expecting severe weather after 7, but it's a mild temperature. We got a nice breeze. I don't get sunburnt as bad in cloudy, so I like this weather. But that's not why you called.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not. And the reason I did call was I do think they're definitely snubbing God at every opportunity they have. I mean, remember a couple of years ago that the YouTube videos that came out, Jerry Nadler refusing to let them say "under God" in the when they said the Pledge of Allegiance in the Senate, right?
Yeah.
And also,
go ahead.
Several years ago, when Barack Obama ran the first time, they had an anti-God platform at the Democrat National Convention. They didn't hide it. So, I mean, this is just
Well, no. I know what you're talking about, and just so we don't get called in by a corrector, son, there wasn't an anti-God platform. There was a motion to remove God from a language in one of the platforms. It failed, and people booed. The convention, the people on the floor of the convention booed God because he stayed in one of the platform planks. So, I mean, his thought there is correct. I was just saving myself from some correcty guy that's got to call in. That's not what happened at all. You bunch of lying liars. So I was just saving you from that. We'll continue with this, though. I got a couple more good calls on the line, but if you got a hot opinion on this, 800-288-9227. The question is, did Biden snub Easter? And if so, did he do it on purpose, or was it just like, oh, well, Trans Day of Visibility happens to be on Easter this year? I'm just going to do the same proclamation I would do every year and just because what's he going to do? Is he going to move Trans Day of Visibility? He would get criticized for that. If he can't. He was just stuck, and he's going to do what he's normally going to do, and then, the media will provide him the cover. Or am I wrong? 800-288-9227. This is the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.